Morning, everyone. My name's Lucas, and I'm an only child. You might be wondering, what's the big deal about that? Well, bet you €5 that there's no more single child in this room than me. And not only because I seem to scare all the women away, but because there's absolutely no one in my direct family who isn't less than a whole decade older. So, being the only SpongeBob enjoyer in my family circle made me have some really deep and meaningful reflections throughout my childhood, and I'm going to explain it to you. So, for starters, let me portray you a typical Juez Zúñiga family gathering. There'd be this really long table full of adults, talking about adult things, how did you get a parking spot so close to here, or which wine does Adventure go the best, And then there'd be little Lucas wondering about what did the child's menu include, Because I was such a big eater that I wouldn't get the breaded chicken if it only had a side salad with it. So right now, I hear you all commoners with siblings thinking, wow, this guy's living the dream, No stupid fights, absolutely no necessity to share. And while you bet there is a kilometric list to being an only of advantages to being an only child, I mean, all the Christmas presents are for yourself. Being an only child also is a huge disadvantage because you are alone. For instance, no one ever told me how to make friends. If I ever wanted anybody to play with, I just had to go out there with my big smile and give it a shot. And eventually that seemed to work out pretty well for me as I ended up having really good friendships along the way. But what about when the years pass, I unlock my beer belly and I start balding? I mean, right now I got my family and friends, and thankfully that means there are lots of shoulders to cry onto. But I'd be really naive to expect that they will always be there for me. While you guys with siblings, for better or worse, are tied up to someone for the rest of your lives, I am not, and that increases the likelihood of me ending up suffering alone. So these are the kind of thoughts I grew up having. Really weird stuff for a 7-year-old to think at night while covered with his Lightning McQueen blanket. But that's completely irrelevant to me as I've matured a lot ever since, and I guarantee that's not where my mind stays at. To me, right now, life is kind of like your first chess game. I don't know if you've ever played, but you only start to understand how stuff works once you've already lost and the game's nearly over. And for our peculiar game of life, we've been put to play against the most ruthless chess grandmaster of them all, time. And the thing with time is that he doesn't really care about who you are or how do you feel. And he's also pretty indifferent about your familiar situation and whether you feel lonely or not. At one given point, he will just impeccably slay your king, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, sure, it's a little bit discouraging and off-putting, but to me it's a really big miracle, because since we all share a common ending, death, our starting points will become completely irrelevant. We're also born with dreams and ambitions we want to accomplish, and since we're only given one singular chance to do so, all of our handicaps should be converted into motivation rather than as deterrents. And applying that kind of thought is how I really turned into the first thalassophobic kid to promise his mother a Rolex from a sunken ship in the deepest confines of the ocean. A kid who used to be absolutely terrified about heights and roller coasters now is interested in a career in the Air Force. How could that be? And while not so long ago I used to hide behind my parents when they were talking to someone who was a stranger to me, right now I'm giving a wonderful speech to 100 of you guys. So this has shown me that there is an intoxicating factor behind every singular field we got that can lead to self-growth. So my philosophy right now is that if the dark terrifies you, you should go and shut the blinders. If you're too shy to talk to a woman, try starting by asking her number. And if you fear death, try to live fully. Thank you.